The strongest emotional attachment is not formed through love. It is formed through pain mixed with hope. You know they hurt you. You know staying damages your peace. You know leaving is logical. Yet something inside you refuses to let go. This is not weakness. This is not obsession. This is trauma bonding. Hello and welcome to Mastermindology, the channel where we explain emotions instead of judging them. Today, we begin a deep journey into the psychology of trauma bonding, why the brain attaches to people who hurt us, and why detachment feels terrifying. 1. What trauma bonding really is not what people think. Most people misunderstand trauma bonding. They think it means being weak, having no self-respect, being emotionally foolish. Psychology says something very different. Trauma bonding is a survival response created by the nervous system, not a conscious choice. A trauma bond forms when I love is inconsistent. Safety is mixed with fear. Affection is followed by pain. The brain does not bond to love alone. It bonds to relief after pain. That relief feels powerful, almost addictive. 2. Why smart, strong people get trauma bonded. Trauma bonding does not target weak minds. It targets emotionally adaptive minds. People who trauma bond are often empathetic, loyal, emotionally deep, tolerant, hopeful. Your strength becomes the hook. Your brain believes, if I endure a little more, it will become good again. This belief is not stupidity. It is learned survival optimism. 3. The role of the nervous system. This is key. Trauma bonding does not happen in logic. It happens in the limbic system, the autonomic nervous system, emotional memory. When love and pain come from the same source, the nervous system becomes confused. It learns danger and comfort come together. This creates emotional attachment under stress. That attachment feels intense, not safe. 4. Intermittent reinforcement, the core mechanism. Trauma bonding is powered by intermittent reinforcement, the strongest conditioning method in psychology. It means reward is unpredictable. Affection comes and goes. Kindness appears after pain. This unpredictability makes the brain chase harder, attach deeper, obsess longer. This is the same mechanism used in gambling addiction. You don't bond to the person. You bond to the possibility. 5. Why the good moments feel so powerful. In trauma bonding, good moments feel magical. Relief feels like love. Calm feels earned. Because your nervous system just escaped threat. The brain releases dopamine, hope, oxytocin, bonding, relief hormones. Your brain says, this person saved me. But they were also the source of pain. This creates emotional confusion. 6. Pain increases attachment, not decreases it. In healthy relationships, pain weakens bonds. In trauma bonds, pain strengthens bonds. Why? Because pain increases emotional intensity. Intensity tricks the brain into believing this must be important. Calm feels unfamiliar. Chaos feels meaningful. 7. Trauma bond versus real love, early difference. Real love? It feels safe. It feels steady. It feels consistent. Trauma bonding. It feels urgent. It feels addictive. It feels unstable. The brain often confuses intensity with intimacy. This is why healthy love can feel boring after trauma. 8. Childhood conditioning, where it often begins. Many trauma bonds feel familiar. Why? Because childhood taught the nervous system. I love is inconsistent. Affection must be earned. Emotional safety is uncertain. So later, the brain seeks what feels familiar, not what feels healthy. This is not your fault. It is conditioning. 9. Why logic completely fails. People say, just leave. Have boundaries. Think rationally. But trauma bonding does not respond to logic. Because logic lives in the prefrontal cortex. Trauma bonding lives in the emotional brain. That's why you understand everything, yet still feel pulled back. Your body is reacting faster than your thoughts. 10. The role of hope, most dangerous part. Hope keeps trauma bonds alive. Hope says, they'll change. They didn't mean it. This time is different. Hope delays grief. Letting go feels like killing the future you imagined. So the mind chooses pain over mourning. 11. Why you blame yourself instead of them. Trauma bonds grow stronger through self-blame. Why? Because believing it's my fault feels safer than believing I loved someone unsafe. Self-blame gives illusion of control. 12. The illusion of deep connection. Trauma bonding feels deep because pain accelerates emotional exposure. Boundaries collapse quickly. Vulnerability happens under stress. But depth created through pain is not intimacy. It is emotional flooding. 13. Why leaving feels like losing yourself. In trauma bonding, Identity merges with the bond. Emotional regulation depends on the other. Self-worth becomes external. So when they leave, you feel empty, lost, disconnected. You didn't lose them. You lost who you became around them. 14. Trauma bonding is not love. This is important. Love does not require anxiety, fear, self-abandonment. Trauma bonding requires all three. Understanding this is the first crack in the bond. Trauma bonding is not a flaw. It is a survival imprint. And survival patterns can be rewired. The hardest part is not leaving. The hardest part is understanding why leaving feels like dying. You already know the truth. You already see the pattern. You already feel the damage. And yet, your body resists freedom. This is where most people start hating themselves. But psychology says, what you're experiencing is withdrawal, not weakness. 1. Trauma bonding is an addiction, not a metaphor. Trauma bonding behaves exactly like addiction in the brain. Same cycle. Craving. Relief. A crash. A withdrawal. A relapse. When the bond breaks, your brain reacts the same way it reacts to drug withdrawal. Why? Because the relationship was chemically regulating your nervous system. 2. The brain chemicals that keep you stuck. Let's simplify the neuroscience. Small orange diamond dopamine, the hope chemical. Dopamine is released not when you receive love, but when you anticipate it. Unpredictable affection equals more dopamine. Your brain becomes addicted to. Maybe this time it will be good. Small orange diamond cortisol, the stress bond. Cortisol is released during conflict, fear, abandonment. High cortisol heightens attachment. Narrows focus. Creates urgency. Your body stays in survival mode. Small orange diamond oxytocin, the trap. Oxytocin bonds you during vulnerability, pain, reconciliation after conflict. So every time pain is followed by closeness, the bond deepens. 3. Why your body misses them more than your mind. You may think, I don't even want them anymore. But your body does. Why? Because your body learned. They equal emotional regulation. They equal relief after distress. Your nervous system does not understand logic. It understands patterns. 4. Why detachment feels like death. Trauma bonding activates abandonment survival circuits. The brain interprets separation as a threat, loss of safety, identity collapse. This triggers panic, obsessive thoughts, emotional pain. This is why people return, not for love, but for relief. 5. Emotional memory is stronger than rational memory. Trauma bonds live in emotional memory, not narrative memory. So even when you remember the insults, the disrespect, the pain, your emotional memory remembers relief, the closeness, hope, and emotional memory always feels louder. 6. Childhood wounds, the original programming. Trauma bonding often connects to early emotional experiences. If as a child, love was inconsistent, affection was earned, safety was unpredictable, then your nervous system learned love equals uncertainty. So trauma bonds feel familiar, even comforting. Not because they're good, but because they match old patterns. 7. Why you romanticize the past. Your brain edits memories under stress. It minimizes pain, amplifies good moments, rewrites reality. This is a survival response. The brain prefers pain with attachment over freedom with grief. 8. Why you feel guilty for leaving. Trauma bonding creates false responsibility. You feel responsible for their emotions. Guilty for choosing yourself. Afraid of being selfish. This guilt is learned, not earned. Healthy relationships do not require self-betrayal. 9. Why you blame yourself, again. Self-blame gives control. If it's your fault, you can fix it. You can try harder. Accepting that they couldn't love safely means accepting loss, and grief is terrifying. 10. Why closure rarely helps. Your mind asks, why did they do this? What did I mean to them? But closure doesn't heal trauma bonds. Because trauma bonds are not cognitive, they are somatic, body-based. No explanation will calm a dysregulated nervous system. 11. The illusion of if only. If only I communicated better. If only I stayed patient. If only they healed. This keeps hope alive. Hope delays detachment. And detachment requires grief. 12. Why no contact feels cruel, but isn't. No contact is not punishment. It is a nervous system detox. A emotional withdrawal support. Identity separation. Without distance, the bond keeps reactivating. Healing needs absence. 13. Withdrawal symptoms are real. When trauma bonds break, people experience anxiety, E. Insomnia. Obsessive thinking. Emptiness. E. Physical pain. This is not drama. This is neurochemical withdrawal. 14. Why you feel empty without them. In trauma bonding, they regulated your emotions. They defined your worth. They filled psychological space. So without them, silence feels loud. Stillness feels painful. This emptiness is not permanent. It's unused emotional space. 15. Why you're afraid of peace. Peace feels unfamiliar. Chaos trained your nervous system. So calm feels boring, unsafe, empty. Healing feels uncomfortable before it feels good. 16. Why you check, stalk, remember. Your brain is seeking dopamine. Emotional activation. Familiar pain. This is addiction behavior, not love. 17. Trauma bonding versus self-worth. Trauma bonding slowly erodes identity. You stop asking, is this good for me? And start asking, how do I keep this? This shift is dangerous. 18. Why staying feels easier than leaving. Staying avoids grief. It feels familiar. Delays pain. Leaving forces withdrawal. It creates uncertainty. Requires rebuilding. Short-term pain versus long-term peace. 19. You're not broken, you're conditioned. This is crucial. Trauma bonding is learned, reinforced, neurologically stored. And anything learned can be unlearned. 20. Awareness weakens the bond. The moment you understand, this is addiction. This is conditioning. This is not love. The bond starts loosening. Not immediately, but inevitably. You don't miss them. You miss the relief, the familiarity, the version of yourself that survived. Healing doesn't feel like relief at first. It feels like losing something you depended on to survive. If you are here, it means you understood what trauma bonding is. You understood why you couldn't let go. And now you are facing the hardest phase. Backhand index pointing right, living without the bond. This is where most people go back. Not because they want to, but because their nervous system is screaming. Welcome to the final and most important stage of this journey. Small blue diamond short CTA, very short. Subscribe to Master Mindology for real psychological healing. 1. Emotional withdrawal. What is actually happening? When a trauma bond breaks, the body enters withdrawal. Not emotional drama. Not weakness. Actual neurological withdrawal. Your brain is adjusting to no dopamine spikes. No cortisol cycles. No emotional chaos. So it reacts with anxiety, emptiness, obsessive thoughts, sudden sadness, physical heaviness. This pain is not proof you made the wrong decision. It is proof your nervous system is recalibrating. 2. Why no contact feels cruel, but is necessary. No contact feels extreme because trauma bonds don't weaken gradually. They deactivate through absence. Every interaction re-triggers dopamine, reopens emotional loops, resets healing. No contact is not about punishment. It is about breaking neurological reinforcement. You cannot heal in the same environment that trained your nervous system to survive. 3. The obsessive thoughts. Why the mind won't shut up. During trauma bond withdrawal, the brain keeps asking, what if? Why did this happen? Was it really that bad? This is your brain seeking familiar emotional stimulation, chemical comfort, meaning to avoid grief. Backhand index pointing right, the mind is trying to reconnect, not understand. Don't fight the thoughts. Don't follow them either. Let them pass like withdrawal waves. 4. The empty feeling, most misunderstood stage. After trauma bonding, people say, I feel empty. That emptiness is not loss. It is emotional space, nervous system silence, identity waiting to rebuild. You were emotionally occupied for a long time. Silence feels uncomfortable because chaos trained your system. Stillness feels unfamiliar. But emptiness is not damage. It is room. 5. Why you feel worse before you feel better. Healing follows this pattern. Awareness. Pain increases. Identity collapses. Nervous system resets. Strength returns. Most people quit at step 3. Because collapse feels like failure. But collapse is detox. The bond weakens when you stop feeding it, not when you stop missing them. 6. Emotional flashbacks and triggers. Certain things will trigger you. Songs, places, silence, random memories. These are somatic memories, not desire. Your body remembers stress before your mind remembers logic. When triggered, breathe slowly. Ground yourself. Do not analyze. Analysis feeds the bond. 7. Why reaching out feels urgent at night. Trauma bonds activate strongest at night, during loneliness, when tired. Why? Because the nervous system seeks comfort when defenses are low. This is why discipline is harder than understanding. Backhand index pointing right delay urges, don't debate them. Urges pass. Reconnection resets healing. 8. Rebuilding identity after trauma bonding. Trauma bonding erases self-identity. Healing means rebuilding. Preferences. Boundaries. Self-trust. Emotional independence. Start small. Make decisions alone. Sit with discomfort. Reconnect with your body. Identity returns slowly, but stronger. 9. Why you suddenly see red flags clearly. Once the nervous system calms, denial lifts. Reality becomes visible. Patterns make sense. This is delayed clarity. Don't rush it. Let it settle. 10. Forgiveness is not required to heal. Important truth. You do not need forgiveness to detach. Healing requires understanding, distance, nervous system regulation. Forgiveness can come later, or not at all. Peace does not need permission. 11. Healthy love versus trauma love, final comparison. Trauma love. Feels urgent. Feels addictive. Requires self-abandonment. Healthy love. Feels calm. Feels consistent. Allows individuality. If peace feels boring now, it's because your nervous system is still healing. 12. Boundaries, the skill trauma bonds destroy. Trauma bonding teaches overgiving, over-explaining, over-tolerating. Healing teaches saying no without guilt, leaving without justification, choosing peace without apology. Boundaries feel selfish at first. They are not. 13. Why you become emotionally stronger than before. Once healed, you recognize red flags early. You don't chase inconsistency. You don't confuse pain with passion. Trauma bond survivors develop emotional intelligence, self-respect, nervous system awareness. What hurt you also trained you. 14. Relapse thoughts do not mean failure. Thinking about them is not equal to wanting them. Missing them is not equal to going back. Healing is non-linear. Progress is measured by not reacting, not reaching out, not abandoning yourself. 15. The moment the bond finally breaks. It's quiet. No dramatic relief. No celebration. Just neutrality. Distance. Emotional freedom. You don't hate them. You don't need them. That's healing. 16. Why you were chosen by trauma bonding. Because you had depth, empathy, emotional capacity. Trauma bonds don't form with empty hearts. They form with open ones. Your sensitivity was never the problem. 17. Turning pain into psychological power. Once healed, you gain emotional control, detachment without coldness, clarity without bitterness. You stop chasing connection. You choose alignment. 18. Final psychological truth. You didn't lose love. You escaped emotional captivity. What you thought was love was your nervous system trying to survive familiarity. Now it's learning peace. Trauma bonding is not healed by understanding alone, time alone, willpower alone. It heals when the nervous system feels safe, distance is maintained, identity is rebuilt, and one day, quietly, you realize you no longer feel pulled. You no longer need closure. You no longer betray yourself. That is freedom.